Hey guys, so today here's just a quick lesson on technique with the right and left hands with regards to muting the strings that you don't want ringing. Now, it took me a very long time to actually understand the purpose of this, because to me it's not inherently obvious that this is something that you should do. I typically thought of a guitar as an instrument for chords, so which means that more than one string will ring at a time. But in lead guitar playing, a lot of the time you will only want one string ringing, which means that when you play a note, you don't want subsequent strings ringing at the same time. Obviously, sometimes you may, but other times you just want to hear one single note. Now, the key to this is, like I mentioned earlier in the video, the left hand and the right hand muting. So, I learned off a great teacher, and he told me that every time you play a string, all the strings above it and all the strings below it, within reason, should be muted. So, the way you mute the strings above it is use your right hand, and then if you want to mute the strings above it with below it, then you need to use your left hand. Okay, so I'll give you an example of this. So, if I wanted to play the E string, my right hand is not going to mute anything. I should mention that it's easier to do this if you rest your hand on the body of the guitar. Okay, I tend to put mine just above my bridge pickup. But whatever feels natural to you, of course. You could even rest it here if you want. Another reason for this is when you are using this technique, it's very easy to also mute strings, so do palm muting, so rather than them being dead like that, they will also be able to, you can also palm mute them as well. They're not completely dead like this. So, if I play the E string, my hand is not muting anything. Okay? If I then play the A string, because of the position of my hand, the E string is now muted. Same again, if I play the A string, now move up to the D string, the A string is muted. Go on to the G, D string is muted. Move on to the B, G string is muted. Play the E, B string's muted. Now, that's the way that I personally play single notes on a guitar, because it will make it cleaner. If I don't do that, then listen to what happens. See? All the other strings are ringing. Another thing that I do is, based on the position of my left hand, will mean that sometimes some of the strings below it will be muted. So in the case that I strike a string too hard or I slightly miss it, they won't ring out like a sore thumb. Okay? So if I play this note here, the E string's muted. I'll take my right hand away. It's still muted because of the position of my hand. So, another way, it really helps with bending. So if you bend a string, and then you add a bit of a vibrato on it, if you don't mute them, this happens. And I also did a something called the rake technique, which some people do use their left hand, but because of my muting, I can just, if I try to do that without the right hand technique, you get this. Doesn't sound anywhere near as good. Now, I don't claim to be an expert on this because I learned from someone else. And a lot of great players, such as Zakk Wylde, don't use right hand muting technique. They do it exclusively. He does it exclusively with his left hand. But I just thought I'd make this video to make people aware, because I haven't seen many people explaining this concept on YouTube. And in order to clean up your playing, especially for me, it was excellent. I mean, please do persist with it, because it will improve you. And I know it will seem strange at first, because, as I explained before, guitars typically are chorded, And if you try to play chords with your hand rested on the body of the guitar, then it would be incredibly difficult. You've got no freedom of movement across a wide, if you wanted to get all the strings to ring all at the same time. But at the same credit, this technique, because you've got a smaller area to work with, it means that your playing accuracy also improves. If you float your hand, it's very hard to get picking accuracy. See, I have to even watch what I'm doing, otherwise I'd probably mess it up. Anyway, guys, I hope this video helps. Leave some comments, and any questions you have whatsoever, please let me know. Alright, good luck.